Oh, crappy event for the Lunars. Sartor offers slaves to the Dragon Newts. Sartor gets 10 DPs. Remember, it was like 1 point, I think, actually, that they had it by. Anyway, no. More like 15 or 5 points. Anyway, we've got Sartor at 71. You add 45 to that, you end up at like 116. The Lunars don't know this. And I think, given their situation, they're going to call on the Dragon Newts. Anyway, that ends up giving Sartor another 5. That's not terrible. But, you know, they know they got to throw another 25 in either way. It's just, did that make the difference here? Well, if we get to 25 more, already we're at 24, 31 point difference. So it's not really, you know, that extra 25 points is fine. It's just, I'm pretty sure that the Lunars would have launched the diplomatic inquiry. Well, now we get to see what Sartor can do. They should quite probably be able to take this, and that'll mean no diplomatic success there, but we'll see. Not being able to kill that dragon was a biggie. Things aren't all peachy for the Sartorites here. I can't move my hero out of here. He's stuck by these zones. So he's going to have to attack all those units. That probably isn't going to be pleasant. Then over here I'm going to hit this big stack, continue fighting at farthest, and I am going to use the dragon here. I can't figure out a better use for it right now. Wiping out some more big stack. Well, it's not a lot, but it feels like the best I can do, because I don't think, you know, at some point or another I may get down here and I may be facing stacks that can position themselves so that they can be useful, but it looks highly unlikely, and clearing this out of the way will make that more possible that I'll be able to drive down with Sartorite forces. Okay, the Lunars managed to destroy the small force at significant cost. It got first strike, so it wiped out a lot of stuff. The superhero, however, he's made his saving check there, and he'll go to the nearest unit, which I think is these ducks. Or not, Trollkin, sorry. They're small. Which is kind of a pity. It would have been more helpful to have him with the rest of my forces, but otherwise, the Imperials were wiped out here, but not the spirit. The movement spirit is still there, still controlled by the Imperials. You can walk through spirits when they're in that state, when they're not stacked with anything. And the Imperials managed to hold on to furthest. And that's big, because that almost assures that we're going to see the Dragon Newts next turn. Meanwhile, the Imperials have to go, and God knows what to do with them. And a quick meteor shower gets rid of one of those Trollkin. Superhero can't protect you from physical spirits. Otherwise, we've grabbed Boldholm. We got some troops up at Johnston. I don't know if they should really, or Johnstown. I don't know if they should really be there or should protect Boldholm, but the point here is this could come down to an attrition battle. Fought here in the reverse, with the Imperials heading this way and the Sartorites heading this way. We don't know yet. So holding on to territories even that aren't the capital seem to serve some purpose. Meanwhile, I'm moving everything else up in an attempt to try to take this on. You know, basically Sartor can run free up here. The Lunars can run free down here. Not exactly what you'd expect, but that's where we are. Did manage to replace the lost unit. It doesn't make sense for me to grab more units. I took the strongest thing I could, which was a cav. But as long as I hold on to the city, I can keep replenishing. And this thing, geez, I don't know if I keep going back and forth or something. This stupid turn track confuses me. Yeah, we'll move it up here, and hopefully I'm not adding too many turns to the game. And next turn we should see the Dragon Newts come in. Dragon Newts are a little different from all the other major powers. Well, all the other major powers with kind of territory and troops and stuff. They can leave their cities on the first turn. Okay, after, excuse me, the diplomacy payoff, and the lunars should be okay now. 35, Plague in the Empire. War brings plague, no big shock. For each lunar fortress, the lunar player rolls a die. On a 1, the fortress will be hit with a plague, and then there's a chance that the units in it will die. This, and that's a lunar unit, or a lunar allied unit. Okay, let's see what happens to it. A 1 or a 2 is actually death. 3 or 4 is disruption. 5 or 6 is the unit survives. So that fortress is cleared. And then this fortress. And those are the only 2 with anything in it, so I don't have to worry. And then the important one survives. Alright, well, now we're on to Sartor, and whether or not they can finish this off, and then what the dragon newts mean. Like I said, this could well turn into a weird sort of stalemate with people holding the inverse of what they started with. And then it becomes very important to hold the fortresses. It's kind of something of a risk by shifting a lot of my forces out of the Tarshite area towards to try to, you know, position myself so I can fight against the lunars down here. That's maybe even worse because of the dragon newt cities cropping up dragon newts in the midst of them, which could be a real issue. But the risk just didn't pay off at all. I got hosed, lost a couple of units. I did only 9 points of damage against a city that could take 10, essentially. That means the lunars probably won't even take any reinforcements. Unless they can build up a pile that they can defend themselves one-on-one with, you know, without the terrain. There's no point, and they think they can hold out for a while. The die rolls have been going very far in their favor, but I did start slipping some things over here. Now I got the cloak. I could bring those goblins into play in a couple of turns. There's not a lot of game left after that, but I'm not sure what to do with the cloak otherwise. And then I've got yeah, these things move quickly, and I want to get them over there. What I should have done was maybe left Ethelrist somewhere where he could unleash the cloak where it wouldn't affect these other units. I've got the dog, but you got to get kind of close the way I'm playing the dog, where it actually has to move across the map. So, well, I guess it's Dragon Newt time next. And just as the Dragon Newts, or just as the Lunars started to lose their big magical advantage, now they got a whole bunch more Spirit Mages in play here. The question, of course, is how these Dragon Newts are going to get used. They're scattered all over the place. Now, the neat thing, though, is they can shift down these roads at a cost of 1 movement point to just run down the whole length of the road. That's very, very potent. So that gives a great deal more power. And basically, what I'm looking at is, gosh, you know, the Lunars hold most of this. If I can divert something to go hold, say, Duck Point, that shouldn't be too hard to do, and alone, and throw what's kind of over here largely against them, maybe I can push some of these Dragon Newts to face Ethelrist and just maybe be able to gain some territory. In some cases, I haven't taken Duck's Point or Wilm's Church, so I really have to take these. I haven't taken Svenstown, you know, so basically, if the Sartorites end up winning in the Tarsh, I want to make sure that I at least equal their fortress holdings there. Okay, so after providing for some conventional movement up here, now comes the question of what about more unconventional movement? I can't use my spirit magic against the superhero, so, you know, I'm going to want to push against here with the main force. I've moved some of the they're riding what look like giant ostriches. If you're familiar with Glorantha, you'll know demi-birds they're called. And you can see they're not terribly powerful. They have some missile capability. I'm not quite sure why. Kind of dangerous to put him here. So if I don't succeed in this attack, I'm gonna have some problems. But let's say I wanted to move these guys. I got a dummy bird unit here, I think. It's got 5 movement points. The other one's only got 4. So the first move would be to here 1, then 2. Now, unfortunately, I don't have another good move leaping right out to here. So then I'd go 3 to these juncture points is what I'm hitting. Cities and juncture points. 4. I could get the regulars as far as this. I may instead want to use that for 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe throw it into this stack. I got some light infantry there. But the other one, the 6, I can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as you can see, I can get most of these into play against there. And that's what I'm going to be, I think, focusing on, is trying to launch an attack on these forward units. Of course, they're in a fortress, but they're what I have to fight. I can kind of see I got quite a bit of force thrown in there with spirits, etc. And then here, I'm still not using the Red Emperor spirit. It's too far away from this. I probably could have actually sprung that closer. It's only got 6 movement points though, so maybe not within range. He's just outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out to here. Oh well. I am leaving these back here. Who knows what could happen? There could be troops coming from down at the bottom of the board or whatever. I don't want to lose the things I have, but I also want to try to wipe out the Sartorites as quickly as possible. By the way, the strategy would be similar in the full game. The full game goes out 28 turns. It's one where you can only win if you have the other guy's major capital. The only difference would be I might not worry about things like Johnstown. I might have a significant little force at Boldholm, just because it becomes so important. It's just one more fortress in this game, other than, well, the effect that it had on the diplomatic. But you know what? We're done with that. So, let's do these. And that's turn 11. All right. Failure here. The only effect, the Red Emperor is dead. There goes his spirit. I could have killed some dragon newts, but dragon newts are pointless to kill. They just come back. Yeah, there's not a whole hell of a lot of reason to kill off dragon newts. Over here, Bagnot fell. And now I've got Ethelrest. Well, Ethelrest could do something neat, like line up a shot with his dog. That would be potent, no question. But remember, dragon newts just come back. He's wasting a one-shot thing on... Ooh, I forgot about these dragon newts. Yeah. I would like to do something with them. I'm not sure what. Okay, I forgot about them. I can never find that one, and now that the pieces are on the board, I still don't see it. There's some giants under here somewhere. Keep forgetting about them too. But yeah, the knocking them out will buy me some time, but that's it. I don't know. All right. You know, it may well come down to counting fortresses. I don't think that we're going to completely eliminate the Sartorites here. This is so damn hellish. 40 strength points right at the top. Kill that, man. Kill that. It's almost impossible. I'm having real trouble thinking of anything else to do, so I'm unleashing the hound. Position myself here to cut through. I can take this spirit into my stack. That'll help out a little bit. And let's see, is that the next thing that happens? I don't have to start an attack here. I am going to launch one from here. But let's do this because I think it is the next thing. So woof. if I can find it. Now what kind of sucks here is that's a nice big chunk of my army. I don't know if I want to do this. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. Oh boy. Alright, I think we're going to try to work our way back up that way. The event was, you know, some dip for crag spider or something. Instead, I've moved over, sacked this dragon newt city. Now that had to be marked down, so I need this sheet of paper again. Dragon newts can never resurrect there. So the 2 dragon newts that started in that city, if they die, they're dead for good. At least for the game. Grabbed some garrisoning power there, and moved Ethelrest up here. He's dropped his cloak. It's late in the game for it to happen, but at least I'll get the goblins. And it's going to prevent normal movement for everything within 10 hexes of it. Which is quite a distance. The spirit can move, and his forces can move, which is pretty potent. It may allow me to protect my holding here. It's 2 complete game turns, from what I understand. I don't know if that's gonna, let me see how it's worded. I don't know if that's gonna take me through to the end of the game, and if I'm just not gonna get the goblins, which are quite a potent critter, and I kind of wish that I could have used them. Probably should have dropped the cloak earlier. After the 2 game turns. During those 2 turns. For 2 complete game turns after it's been placed on the board. So I'm guessing 1, 2, at the end of the Sartor turn, it is going to allow, I'm guessing. It's not clear what 2 complete game turns is. It's either to the end of the game or to the end of the Sartor turn at the end of the game. Those hexes are pretty much immune to be moved into, except by his own forces, and that'll allow him to grab this city pretty cheaply, if he so desires. He holds this one, he holds this one. The dragon newts are still available though to move, so basically what I'm probably doing is putting a claim to most of the Tarsh, and hoping that evens out. Maybe I can hold out here in this city for the game or whatever, and that should pretty much even it out, because there are a number of cities that the Lunars did not take over in Sartor. The dragon newts will probably go do that though. Anyway, let's launch these attacks, because I could take this still while the cloak's there. Of course, troops can still recuperate there, so I don't know. It's not that units can't move. They must stop when they move into a hex in it. So you could actually move 1 hex per turn through the cloud. I'm not too worried about that though. That did allow me to throw some units here, and that means I can probably grab Talfort with some of Ethelrest's troops and see what else is going down. But that's the end of the action for the Sartorites. And let's move on to the... And we're doing a big attack on that spirit with the Inhuman King and all the priests. And then over here, launching what little magical power we still have left. You can see I'm getting some dragon newts back here, grab some of these cities. I don't have to garrison them, but of course that might be wise depending on what the situation is, just to avoid being hit by an event which would, you know, drive Sartorites up here or something. And let's see, another one coming down here to Duck Point. This guy's on his way back up to the Dragon's Eye, provide some sort of defense. I'd hate to lose the #1 capital, because then all my resurrection capabilities go away, I think. Oh no, it's if the Inhuman King's not on the board. But losing that is the way to lose that. So, alright, let's resolve these few little combats left. And so we push to the end. down to the back end of this. Hey, we're on a full moon now. And yes, those are 1 per day. It fell. However, the superhero's not dead. He's back here. The spirit was destroyed, but at a cost. One of the dragon newt spirits is gone now too, so yeah. But that ends any magic. God, I can't remember who's who anymore. I thought that spirit was owned by the Lunars. But I guess not. No, I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know how it turned sides. I'll leave things like this. I think this is probably close enough. I don't know what happened there, but anyway. Let's give it back to the Lunars. So pretty much all of Sartor is going to fall. The Tarsh is not so guaranteed. Bagnot's under Dragon Newt control, and I can probably position myself up at Slave Wall or something else with a fair-sized force as well, which is looking like 1, 2, 3, 4th city if I capture it, versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 once I capture them all. So it looks like a lunar victory. I'll play it out, I guess, but there's always chances of stuff happening. The Sartorites and their allies spread out a bit, grabbing fortresses. Meanwhile, Ethelrist and Androgynous are marching up this way. See if they can line up an attack on the damn lunar piles. We'll see. It could just be asking to be attacked, though. And oh, I haven't moved this guy. I should probably get him somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy could be heading up. He was down here somewhere instead. 1, 2, 3, boink. 4. That'll work. Alright, now spreading out to grab all the fortresses down here, obviously, with the Lunars. Managed to grab Dunstop. Bagnot's still mine. That's going to be kind of a pain for the Sartorites to hit. The meteor shower hit down here. See a big force moving up. Now, there are opportunities for a shot to be lined up here with the Hound, but how valuable is it, really? When it comes down to it, is it worth the attack? Will it clear enough? Probably. Basically, I'm looking at maybe an attack from here, blast through these, and hit this. Another thing is, I could take Jariel out with the Hound. She doesn't seem to be... superheroes, I don't think, are immune to the Hound. I'll look that up to make sure. That might be a worthwhile option, on the other hand, because then I'd be the only person with a superhero. And that might be enough to turn the tide here. But that's there's only 2 more turns left. How many things can I take in 2 turns? Not a lot. Alrighty, what do we got here? First of all, more chaos. Some Sartor forces coming up from the south again, or forces to support them. A couple of big cav units. That throws a real monkey in the wrench of the lunar occupation. Okay. I'm going to unleash the Hounds because it knocks things down to here. I could get rid of the superhero, but the superhero would save everything in his stack if he does that. And otherwise, I think he can save himself. Again, the interactions are so annoying to try to understand just by skimming the rules, which is what one usually does if one is me when looking up specifics. The specifics are just too specific in this game. Okay, so let's see where it is. So once the hound reaches it's eliminated, a dragon or a superhero can stop the hound and save the unit stacked with it. When the hound enters a hex that contains a dragon or superhero, the hound is eliminated. If it was stopped by a superhero, the superhero is also eliminated, apparently not by a dragon. Okay, so I guess that's pretty clear. So I could take out the superhero, but that's it. Or I can knock this stack out, or the 2 stacks out. I'm going to knock these out because it also aligns the dog continuing to move. So anyway, my plan is that I ended up in a position where I'm going to hit these dragon newts as well. Now the dragon newts come back. They're probably going to be fast enough with those dragon newt roads to be able to get somewhere useful. I just can't think out the whole scenario. So we're just going to try it out and see what happens. Basically, the question is, well, could the Sartorites win? If I was playing this opposed, I would probably spend an hour trying to plot out what my best move was as Sartor here. I'm not willing to do that in a solo game. All right. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wee! And these guys are just all dead. That was fun. And I'll take care of the combat over here as well. Those were a bunch of mounted archery type dragon newts. So they all reappear in the rally phase of the player turn in which they're destroyed. So even though I'm destroying them in my player turn, they're still going to get to act in the next player turn, which is where we are right now. And we'll see what the Lunars can do. This is pretty nasty. I don't know if I terribly want to even deal with it. So I'm facing one of those questions that the rules, I think, are in contradiction to my understanding of Florantha. So I'm going to follow my understanding of Florantha here. Dragon newt's moving through. The cloak presents this cloud of blackness. The problem is that cloud of blackness is sort of in the material world. The dragon newt roads are not entirely physical. However, the fact that forces disrupt them leads me more to question. Do they stop when they enter the 10? I don't know which way to go, actually. I mean, my first impression was, well, it's kind of a spiritual road, but it's not entirely, which is represented by the fact that forces can interdict the movement along it. Given that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to force the dragon newt to stop there, rather than make it all the way down to this city. And yes, he can still use the road to a damaged city. Dragon newts have managed to reinforce most of the Sartor cities to prevent these cav from being a real threat. A good pile here. The route's clear for the dog. He's going off the map. I mean, once you launch him, you're going to have to be in a pretty dumb place. I can't imagine why you would stand in its way. So the question then is, well, did he just launch across the map, in which case he would have killed the unit here, or does he move? And I think it's more fun to let some people get by first. We're launching an attack here. Now these guys are probably meat unless I land a good hit on that can get rid of Androgeus. I've got some pretty potent stuff here though, and I've got the yummy bat, so somebody's getting eaten because I can only protect 3 units from the bat. And then a big spirit attack here on furthest. I had to leave Dunstop. It's still mine, but hey, I'm the Lunars, it better be. Yeah, that attack was a failure. I lost some decent units. I don't know. You know, you got to take your chance. You get a hit on that, you get rid of his biggest thing, he's got no chance of kind of tying you. I feel like I've got the edge still because I'm holding all of the Sartorian cities, and I'm in a position to hold some of the stuff in the lunar territories as well. So I think it's going to be pretty hard for Sartor to get a win, even with this screw up. Essentially, it's just I could have made it safer by positioning myself more defensively. Well, on this final turn, I finished up the Sartre moves and I realized I forgot to do an event. I rolled it. Kind of neat when the barbarian horde strikes, the members decide they deserve a large share of booty. Sartre player can't move any barbarian horde units in this movement phase. There's a reason for those to be a distinguished dark green color when they're always part of the Sartre force, but it was hard to figure that out actually from the rulebook. So this is about the best I think I can do. And this goes away. And we get some defensive positioning there, I guess. It's not terribly useful. Really should have generated that earlier, maybe on the first turn that Etherost came into the game. I could have then just left it behind and run it up and been able to use it. It's a nice powerful piece, although with not a lot of magical resistance. That's an interesting thing about the Grayslanders. Take a look at the magical resistance on these suckers. This is a weak unit and it's got a 7. You see some herds there, but their units are very, very capable of dealing with spirit attacks compared to most regulars, which seem to be significantly weaker, although they have, you know, their own spirit mages. Otherwise, I'm launching an attack here. That's the only real attack I have. I've spread some of my forces out to where I could get them. The hound. For what it matters. And I'm trying to attack Boldholm. I couldn't really get anywhere else except Svenstown, which looks better defended. Yeah, Boldholm might could get hit by archers. That's the only problem. Alright. Fairly easy work over here, although Etheros died and did not escape. Down here, no luck. I killed one. Yeah, it's back here. And the dragon just show right back up. It's like really painful. Now, if they were here earlier in the game, you might have seen fights to try to take the dragon's eye, etc. But the chances of actually killing a significant number of dragon newts was pretty low in this game. So, you know, and we were towards the end and there were key fortresses to take at this point. So trying to extend the battlefield into knocking out dragon newt territory didn't make a lot of sense. Now the Lunars get to come back, but let's do a quick count of what we're looking at here. We have, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 enemy territories. And we've lost 1, 2, 3, 4. So essentially we have a victory. It's just how big a one. What other cities can I take back some of the lunar cities? And the answer is yes to quite a few of those. In fact, it probably could have been this one as well, except that I threw my spirits in there and blew the units out so I couldn't advance after combat. But successful attack here with Jariel. Over here, the Inhuman King made an attack that was successful. Actually, may have him over here. I don't know. Apparently not. So, yes, there are some Sartorite city still held over here. This one's still Sartorite, and this one is officially. So it's 3 to whatever I have here, 5 or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Could have been only 2 to 6. The more and more you get, so the early games of this were very much like a puzzle, but this one is just such pure chaos. And you know, when you get to that diplomacy thing, I think once you get to the diplomacy, you probably no longer is as playable solitaire. I found it okay to do that, to make little rules and kind of fudge around with that. But at times I felt like my decisions were not necessarily ones I would go with. Of course, I feel the same when I'm playing like an 18xx game and I'm making some decisions by die roll. The problem with this is, in 18xx, most of those decisions all start the game for me. It's the initial bidding round. Most of the other decisions aren't as stupid, potentially stupid, as some of the ones here on some of the diplomacy choices. And yes, I can kind of get in the way of some of them, but not all of them. All right, I'll come back with a review. And, I mean, every single time I play this, it's because of the attack thing. It feels like the game is just swinging back and forth wildly. I'm not so sure it really is. I think it's just this tremendous advantage to the guy whose turn it is to be able to deal damage. This is not normal for war games and fantasy games as well, but most war games don't give this tremendous advantage to the attacker, and it's very, very weird. And along with the weird systems, it's hard to get a real grasp on what to do and whatever. Anyway,